Welcome to the Sam and Joe VA Show, where we teach women just like you how to start and scale a thriving virtual assistant business.
We're your hosts, Sam and Joe, and get ready to have the control, flexibility, and freedom you've always dreamed of.
Welcome to episode 176. 8 things that will stop you from scaling.
I didn't even know what scaling was when I was scaling years ago. I had no idea. I had this idea in my head that it was agency owners like you, Joe, that were the ones that had to scale. And if you didn't want to have client-facing team members, then it just didn't need to be on your radar.
We're here to kind of bust that myth, aren't we? That you absolutely can scale as a freelancer. It just looks a little different. So we think that any virtual assistant has the ability to scale, but there are some things that are probably going to hold you back from actually doing that we want to make sure that you are super aware of. So this doesn't hold you back in your business.
8 things specifically, the ones that we are going to be talking about. These are the 8 things that we see time and time again holding virtual assistant business owners back. But let's take us, before we get into that list of what's going to hold you back, let's talk about what scaling actually means.
Yeah, for me, it's about going beyond just you in your business and growing your business in a way that doesn't just require you doing more work or your team members doing more work. So there's some super smart things to implement to scale in a really sustainable way and to get out of it what you're actually wanting. You know, the reason to scale is to potentially make more profit or to have you switch from client work to, CEO kind of work, change how you want to be kind of working in your business every day. So going beyond just you.
Can you grow without scaling?
Yeah, I think they come intertwined together. I'm doing this with my fingers. I think they're intertwined with each other. So growing, you could just add more team members and grow, but to really scale is about like doing more with the resources that you have, implementing some tools that streamline, automate, which is one of the things we're going to talk about, and really like streamlining your whole business so that you can easily do more in terms of revenue, bring more revenue in, but not just having to work more, work harder, work longer, work more hours.
So interesting, isn't it? That's really, really interesting. So some of these things on our list, they're not actually going to make you money on their own, right? Like some of these things may actually cost you, like you're going to have to invest in these things in order to scale. But the long-term payoff from investing in these things is well worth it.
Yeah. And I think if you're a freelancer listening to this right now, you might be thinking, this is not for me because I don't want to scale. Well, I'm sure that you do want to make more money, maybe work less hours, or maybe shift away from doing things that you don't like. And so it's not just about like, now I have to grow a team and now I have to be an agency owner to scale. Not at all. There are things that you can do as a freelancer to scale, to make more money, to change the work that you do. That doesn't involve you hiring a team to do client-facing work. As a freelancer, if it's just going to be you and your business, there's only so many things that you can do in your business that is going to like bring you more money. And that is about increasing your prices, but that's only going to get you so far. So we want you to have an open mind coming into this episode and listening about scaling, because there are things that you can do that you can scale your business without being an agency owner if that's not what you want to do. Keep listening. We promise that this is for you if you're a freelancer or wanting to become an agency owner.
Yeah. And there's quite a few things on this list, just looking through it, there's a few mindset shifts in order to scale. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily practical things or things you need to buy or upgrade or hire somebody to do. It's up here. It's in the old noggin.
Yeah, there are a lot of things in business that is going to take a different mindset or a shift in your mindset or changing your mindset. And yeah, half of business comes down to like what you're pointing to your head before. Yes, inside your thoughts, beliefs, what you think. Yep.
The language that you use, the conversations that you have with yourself in your head. Yeah, it's also so important. So get a pen and paper ready. We're going to go through the 8 things that are going to stop you from scaling. Number 1 on our list, not making time for on your business work. So, Jo, do you want to explain to those listening the difference between on your business work and in your business work?
Yeah, so in your business covers things like actually delivering your services or your projects, actually doing that client work. That is in your business work. Other in your business work is the kind of like the things that just have to happen as part of being in business. You know, your admin, your accounts, your sending invoices, all of that stuff that I refer to as business as usual. You have to do it. It's part of being in business. There's no getting around it. The on your business work is all about your revenue generating activities, your profit creating activities, the things that are going to bring you in more leads or help you scale or new ways of doing things or strategy, that strategic kind of work, the things that are really going to shift the needle for you, either help you with your bottom line or bring in more leads or more revenue in the top line. So on your business, if you didn't do those things, your business could still actually function day to day.
Yeah.
But the on your business work is the really important stuff that's going to actually set you up to scale really sustainably.
I bet though, like you just talked about the business as usual stuff, like the invoicing, the whatnot, those regular monthly things that you need to do to keep the business ticking over. I reckon there's VAs listening that don't even have time for that.
I should hope that everyone is sending invoices.
No, I know for a fact that we have virtual assistants that don't send us their invoices on the 1st of the month or whatever date it is that they send their invoices.
I try to pretend like that's not happening in the industry.
Jo, hey, this is what the podcast is all about, right? Being brutally honest. And we know for a fact there are VAs that not only are not spending time on the business work, they're not even doing the business as usual work, which is a worry.
Yeah. So if you are wanting to scale, you are going to have to put time aside for working on your business. It's the only way. Because if you just keep doing all of your hours as client work and you're in your business stuff, it's not going to be possible to scale at all.
And this is going to change. Well, there's only one way this is going to change, and it's totally under your control, right? Your clients are going to go, damn, Jo, are you spending any time on your business, growing your business? Like, I really think that I should give you an hour back a week for you to do that. Like, no one's going to have that conversation with you, right? Besides us going, hey, like, we can see that you're bogged down with client work. What's going to change? Like, you are the only one that can make the change. You are the only one that can put some dedicated time in your calendar to the on the business work. Make sure that there are boundaries around that, protecting that time, because it's really, really precious and it's really, really important.
Because scaling beyond you is not just going to happen accidentally or by chance. You actually have to put effort and time into doing it purposefully.
Consistently, intentionally, consistently, purposefully. What other Lee words can we add into that? Yeah.
They sound great. Okay, so we dealt with number 1, not making time for on your business work. We put this right up front because this is going to stop you completely. Just bang, stop, not going to happen if you don't do this first.
All right, number 2. This is me. 2 and 3 were me to a T back in the day. Number 2 is the fear of niching, specializing. This is going to hold you back. You want to, like, once again, we see this all the time. Virtual assistants clinging on to this idea that the only way that they're going to be successful, get all these leads coming in, remain fully booked, is to be everything to everyone. It just doesn't work that way. You just get lost in the crowd.
Yep. At what point did you realize that, or put aside your fear of niching and specializing? Like, what was your trigger to actually put that fear aside?
The trigger was a session with my business coach at the time. And I realized that I was just at this point where, in order for this to be worth my time any longer, I needed to be charging out more, which we go into in number 3. So this conversation is about number 3 as well. And in order to set higher prices, premium prices, I had to specialize. I had to really step into my niche, the thing that I was best at and the thing that I loved doing the most. And I just had to block out everything else because the rest of it was just noise. It was just distractions, not only for me, but for anyone landing on my website. All that other stuff was just distraction and noise.
Yeah. I think this is what held me back too in those early years, is the number 3 is not having premium pricing. And the reason why I never really niched or specialized, you could argue that we kind of did that a little bit later on, but still not really at all. Not being able to have premium prices because we weren't experts in anything completely held me back. Like, it has taken me 11 years to get the business to where it is now. And we've said this before on the podcast. If I had done this again, I would have been able to get to this point, I reckon maybe in 5 years, if I'd just chosen a niche. Once I kind of knew what I was really good at, what I really wanted to do, what was, in demand out there, what skills I had that could really meet that demand. If I could have worked that out earlier and actually gone into it without that fear, I could have had premium pricing. Scaling would have been so much better. And in 2016, when I had to buy out my business partner and kind of re-establish the business, like, my business coach was just like, your pricing is just way too low. You've never made any money.
Yeah.
For like 4 years, it really didn't make that much money because our pricing was too low. We weren't a niche and expert specializing in anything. So how could we command premium pricing if we didn't? It really will hold you back. You cannot scale. Like, I'm testament to it all falling over and owing a lot of money because we couldn't have that premium pricing. Well, we didn't have that premium pricing.
There's no escape. There's no escaping it. You have to price right. Like, you have to. Otherwise, why? Yeah. Like, we've talked about this before. You may as well just be back in your 9 to 5 because you need to make money. You need to make money. Yeah. So, okay. So for you, it was a fear around being labeled an expert because this is not an unfounded fear.
Oh, look, I didn't really understand the concept of how niching and specializing would have actually helped me. That is not until, like later down the track that I realized. And then by then it was too late.
Yeah.
I thought it was too late because I had such a big team and they were employees. I couldn't just cut, a whole bunch of services, and I had all these employees. And I think because our marketing we're so visible online.
Yeah.
And we've established that brand, we've established that reputation, and we're like, lots of the business owners in our region know of our business. So I think that's how I've managed to get around it and not niche, is because we do have that reputation. So we still get regular leads coming in, even though we're not really known as the expert in anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's been a savior for my business.
But not
how much work we put into building relationships at the start and built a reputation.
Yeah. But there are a lot of virtual assistants that aren't in that position that you were in. So they're still reluctant to niche, but they don't have that other stuff to fall back on that you did.
Exactly. Yeah, that takes a lot of time to get to that point.
People a lot of time.
Oh, we see this so much. It's like, how can we say it in another way that's really going to get in your head that you know and believe 100% that niching is going to be the thing that skyrockets your business? You know, take Released, for example, you know, had a fairly big team, was offering a whole bunch of services. And then as soon as they niched, so Kelly, when she made the decision to niche and then only offer services to tradies and become known in the industry, like boom, her business has absolutely taken off. Her growth has been incredible because of that niching.
Yeah. Yeah. And we see it time and time again in like the Facebook groups, our communities. For instance, it was just this week, somebody put a call out for help. They've got a client that wants to know more about entering online course space, very interested to know more about Kajabi. Now, immediately see this happening. There was just comment after comment after comment tagging Kate McGregor, who's the Kajabi queen here in New Zealand. Another example, a different way, whereas Released, they decide to specialize in the industry that they support. Kate has decided to specialize in the services that she provides. So two very different ways of specializing. There were no one else. There were no other tags in that post. Everybody knows what Kate specializes in. So everyone was commenting Kate. The power of having that niche, being known to be the go-to virtual assistant in that specialty or niche. You just get lost in the crowd otherwise. You are just another virtual assistant, offering general virtual assistant services, to anyone and anyone.
And then those are not the successful VAs.
Oh.
Yeah. You know, another example was Tanya. Tanya, who had a whole range of services, kind of doing everything for everyone again. And now when she's gone like, right, I'm going to be known as the events virtual assistant. Mm-hmm. And now just every time we see Tanya in the mastermind, she's got this lead, I've got this lead, I've got all of this work coming in. And it is amazing. And it's completely transformed her business.
Yeah.
Because she's now known as the events VA.
Yeah. Like we're not suggesting, like if you can step into this space knowing that you're going to niche immediately, then boy, that is the best way to get started. However, we know not everybody is ready to kind of go all in straight away. But without a doubt, the earlier that you can niche and specialize, the quicker you are going to be able to scale and then grow. Hands down.
Because what happens when you don't niche or specialize is a couple of things. One is that you don't get the leads, the regular leads coming in because you just get lost in the crowd. And so you're never going to be able to scale because you need the leads coming in. The other thing that happens too is that when you try to scale, you need to keep up with all of the different services and everything happening in all of the different kind of areas that you work in, to keep up with actually being a specialist and doing a great job in all of those service areas. Like you cannot physically know everything about bookkeeping, about being a PA and all the tools that come with that, about design, about websites, about managing podcasts, about social media management. You literally do not have enough capacity to be able to keep a track of all of those different services and what is required to deliver a great service. Things are moving so quickly.
Yeah, just listening to that hurts my brain. All of that learning and all of that stuff that you need to keep up there. Like, oh my God. No thanks. Yeah. No thanks. Okay, so we've touched on it already. Number 3. Another thing that is going to stop you from scaling is not having that premium pricing. And we've put it after the niching or scaling. because it's much easier to get the leads coming in at the premium pricing if you are offering a premium service and you've got that niche or specialty. That's math. That's real math. It's not just Sam math or girl math. It's real math.
It is real math. If you don't have premium pricing and you try to scale, and remember that scaling means going beyond just you in your business, whether client facing or not client facing, you are not going to have enough money left over after you pay those service providers or team members to have any profit. So there's kind of no point scaling if it's actually going to not make you more money, because it does take more work. There are more things to keep a handle on and more things can go wrong, absolutely. And so it needs to be worth it. You need to be making an increase in profit as you scale. Otherwise, what's the point of scaling? You can't do that without premium pricing.
No. Yeah, I've got nothing to add to that one. Boom. It's as simple as that. All right. Number 4 on our list. Not stepping into being a CEO. This is a big one for you, Jo Jensen, isn't it?
This was me. Yeah. I was so stuck in the client work brings in the money. So how can I possibly give up client work? And I wanted to be across everything and knowing everything and like doing the marketing and doing the accounts and doing, all of the parts of the business, or overseeing all of the parts of the business, that I never really stepped into what a CEO actually did until 2016, that turning point where I actually got a business coach and bought my business partner, got some help. Then I actually started listening to them and realized that I needed to completely step away from client work because I was going down the agency route and step into that I'm going to be the CEO rather than the person delivering the work. Now, for a freelancer, this looks a little different because you're not necessarily going to be the one stepping away from client work. That's not what you want to do. So not being a CEO looks like staying in your kind of freelancer delivering services to clients mindset rather than like, okay, who else do I need to have supporting me to be able to scale in my business? Because I can't do all of the things that I need to do to have a sustainably scaled business and to make profit and to enjoy doing that work. Like you have to get support from other people, whether that's a service provider, maybe a bookkeeper doing your bookkeeping so that frees you up from that. Maybe it's a marketing person to do all of your marketing so that you don't need to step into that and you can focus on the scaling part and the, bringing in more leads and the delivering a great service, streamlining everything about how you deliver that service. That's where your time needs to be, stepping into like, I'm a business owner. Because we see this so much, don't we? We've heard this just recently. Multiple people in one of our programs saying, I don't feel like a business owner. And they absolutely are, but they're back stuck in the, I'm a sole trader. I'm just providing admin support services. I'm not a real business owner.
I'm just. Yeah, it's such a mindset shift and a hugely powerful one. Like if you can, and we urge all virtual assistants, no matter which route they're taking, really own a business owner hat, shoes, jacket, whatever it is that you need to, mentally put on in order to become that person. Oh, you just have to do it. Like, I think there's a lot of fear around it. There's a lot of judgment. It's like, well, who am I? Who am I to call myself a business owner? I don't have a business degree. Surely I need a business degree to be a business owner.
Yeah. You just don't. And I think that, there's no test that you have to sit and say, like, I'm going to sit the test now, and then I can, right now I've got my business owner certificate. Like, there is no test. No one's going to come and test you to see whether you are actually a business owner. You are a business owner. You have a virtual assistant business. You're providing services to a client. You are invoicing them for those services and they are paying you. You are literally a business owner.
Whether you like it or not. Hey, get onto Canva and make your own bloody certificate. A certificate of business ownership. Like, if that's what you need.
It doesn't matter the structure of your business in terms of, like, you know, whether you're a sole trader, you're trading under your own name, or you've got a registered company. Like, that is completely irrelevant. If you're providing services and getting paid for those services, you are a business owner.
Yeah. This is not a certification that we're talking about. This is a mindset shift. Get into that CEO shoes.
The CEO shoes also means that you're, like, dealing with problems, taking ownership of issues, being responsible for, you know, your future, your business, what you want to do when you scale, how you scale, like actually stepping into that CEO shoes and making those tough decisions, having those tough conversations, dealing with things that are outside your comfort zone. All of that comes into that stepping into being your CEO of your business. Right.
Don't be the bottleneck. Don't be the bottleneck that Joe was.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, right? I'd love to talk about that a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Those who have grown a team and are still doing client work are going to absolutely hold themselves back from scaling. Because like Sam says, you are going to become the bottleneck. If everything still has to go through you and you're doing client work, you don't have time to look after your team members that you do have. Put your time into, like, strategic things that are going to really shift the needle for you. Again, talking about shifting that needle. Putting time aside to actually be in your CEO, like, mode, working on your business. If you're not going to step into that and start empowering others to do the client work for you, if you're an agency kind of route, then you're just going to hold yourself back. It's going to stop you from scaling. It's going to keep you small because you're not going to be focusing your time and energy on the things that actually matter when it comes to scaling.
So a virtual assistant listening that might be thinking right now, or even saying out loud, we can't hear you, by the way, if you are talking to us out loud. Oh, but I actually really enjoy the client work. Now, would you say that virtual assistant thinking that, is that an excuse?
I think so. I think it's fear talking. Like, yes, there may be something that you really enjoy doing for clients, but again, if you do that work, you are going to hold yourself back. It's you delivering that for whatever your hourly rate is a much lower rate than if you actually put your time and energy into something that is really going to make a big change in your business in terms of how much revenue comes in, how much profit is created. Like, your hourly rate of X number of dollars doing client work is a lot lower value than the hourly rate that you could create by bringing in more revenue or increasing your profit for that same amount of time that you put into it. So an hour over here doing client work, low level, an hour over here doing something that's on your business and really, like, increasing your profit or bringing in more revenue or keeping your clients really super happy, or, you know, all of those things, good things for scaling, that is going to be worth a lot more than the hourly rate over here that you're charging.
No doubt.
So it's up to you. Like, which one do you want to do?
That was obviously not part of what held you back from taking that step back from client work. Would you say it was more of a control thing? Like you felt this was your baby, you felt as though you had to have like...
No, it was more an understanding of that concept that I just explained.
Okay.
The putting my hours into this X number of dollars per hour, as opposed to like, what could I actually spend the time on to bring more money in and build this amazing business and create it better.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand that. I didn't understand how I was holding the business back. And then like team couldn't get a hold of me because I'd be like a full day doing a thing with a client. And so then they needed things from me, and, you know, the wheels started to fall off and there was gaps because I wasn't spending time where it really mattered.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that they could do really great work.
Yeah. That was obviously my situation, slightly different from yours, but it did take me a little bit to get my head around the fact. I mean, I think the first two things I started outsourcing was bookkeeping, which I've shared before, and a cleaner. Now, the cleaner was a harder thing for me to get my head around, but I knew I could get this person in for a couple of hours a week at this amount of, you know, hourly rate. Now, my hourly rate is this amount at this, my new premium prices.
Much higher. Yeah.
Much higher. Like ridiculously high. So in my mind at that point, it was ridiculously high because I hadn't done the mindset money stuff, which we're going to talk about. But then once I realized, well, I could be using my time at this higher hourly rate to bring in more work. And this person, this is what they specialize in. They actually enjoy cleaning. I don't enjoy cleaning. It makes no sense.
So you're actually making a profit from hiring a cleaner.
Yes. Once again, this is not girl math. This is real math.
Real math. You are making a profit from hiring a cleaner.
Yep.
This is exactly why I pay $23 a month to Countdown, so that I can get unlimited deliveries of my groceries, and I never go to the supermarket unless I really have to.
You spend more when you go there as well, especially if you go
Exactly.
hungry.
I'm not going to I'm not going to spend an hour going to the supermarket, if not more, when I can get it delivered and I can use that hour in a much better way. So I'm going to make a profit off ordering my groceries online.
This is, it all comes back to that CEO mindset, doesn't it?
Yep.
Not stepping into those CEO shoes, going to hold you back from scaling 100%. All right, let's move on to number 5. The fear of not having enough work for your team and then having to scramble to find that work. This is obviously not for the freelancers. Go have a coffee, go put the kettle on while we talk about it.
So we've heard this from virtual assistants who are very fearful of having a team sitting, waiting for the work, wondering why it's not coming, and you having to be under a lot of pressure to go out and now spend your time like, oh, I desperately need the clients. And we know that desperation is ugly. Desperation is not attractive at all. It's not the way to find clients. And so you have that fear of like, I don't want to be in that desperation mode. And what if all these team members are just sitting there and then I feel silly because I don't have work for them and I promised this work to them? That is absolutely going to hold you back, because why would anyone want to be in that situation, right? So it's understandable that you would not want to do that. So what we want you to try and shift into is, okay, I can have a team member come on and I don't have to make any promises to them. So we're talking about subcontractors here. I can have some team members that I have brought on, and maybe you've trained them, maybe you've got them into the systems, and you can say to them, I'm going to bring you on, and when I have work that comes in, so I'm getting pretty regular leads, probably going to be like maybe in a few months' time. You know, it could be faster if I get some leads coming in. I'm going to really focus on bringing those leads in, and then great to have you on board and ready for when that does happen. Now, are you okay with that? Are you happy with that? Can you deal with that? Because sometimes subcontractors, they don't need work immediately. They're happy to wait. Maybe they don't need to work at all. They want something to do. There are absolutely people who do that. You don't have to have the work available for those subcontractors straight away. And now you're going to get to a point in your business where like you have these leads coming in and you are making the decision to scale. You're going to have those leads still come in regardless of whether you have a subcontractor sitting there or not. Because you're going to still put your time and effort into your marketing and lead generation. Those leads are still going to come in. They don't just magically turn off unless you stop doing your marketing completely. So have the confidence in your marketing, in your leads. Have a look at all the evidence that you have of leads coming in, and they will. And bring that team member on before you think you're ready. Not making any promises. And then when the work comes in, they're there, you can hand it over and they get started.
This is a very, very common fear, but it's a fear that's based on assumptions. This assumption that having a team member, it is going to be a lifelong commitment, like that the only way of doing it is they have to be an employee, and then all of a sudden you've got all these financial expectations and commitments that you're signing up for, and it's just not the case. It doesn't have to be that way.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go on to number 6 on our list of things that will stop you from scaling. Not having your business streamlined with systems, processes, and automations.
Sam's favorite topic. Look, we know that these are not sexy to some people. Some people love persistent process and automation. Sam's personality style does not. Now, if you are a similar personality style to Sam, we know that this is not going to feel sexy, and this is going to be the thing that you struggle to put the time and effort into. Like, we get that. And we have some bad news for you. If you don't, you cannot scale sustainably. What will happen is you will attempt to scale, and then all of those gaps, issues, problems, manual processes that you do, making it up each and every time because you don't have a template, that is going to all get amplified, and it is going to be an absolute shit show for you. You are going to be scrambling and dealing with problems over and over and over, and you're going to be like, oh, scaling isn't worth it. I should have just stayed on my own. Team members are doing this, and this is not working, and you're going to blame everything else but yourself.
I feel as though you are.
Do you feel judged?
I feel so judged. Like I'm literally sitting here squirming because I've just realized, like I've been very open about how these things that we're talking about right now never been a priority. Like because they're not exciting at all. They don't get my adrenaline pumping. They don't make me smile. So they very much always go to the bottom of my pile, not just back in the day, but even now, 8 years in, they go, the stuff gets it's at the bottom of the pile right now today. There's stuff on my list that has been on the bottom of my list all year.
Yeah.
It's just the way I am. But, talking about earlier on how number 2 and 3 made the biggest impact, the fear of niching, getting over that, and then the reluctance to have my pricing at premium levels. This has just made me realize this conversation that they were actually really easy. Like once I got in my head the importance of them, I literally did them that day, both of them.
Yeah. They don't have to take a long time.
No, like the decision was made. I went all in. Yep. I realized that this was it. So it may have taken me a while to get my head around the importance of number 2 and 3 on our list. But once I had, boom, decision made, I was all in. But even now, systems and processes, knowing the importance of them, they still go down to the bottom of my pile. Yeah. And it holds me back.
Yeah, yeah. And I think too that because they are not what someone enjoys doing necessarily. Like if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm resonating with you, Sam, so much right now. I think we assume, if this is not your thing, that this is going to take so much time.
I totally feel that. Yes.
And it is going to be so hard and I'm never going to get it done. So I'm just not going to do it. And I'm just going to stay small.
Yes.
And manually doing things and like, struggling away and not really being able to scale.
Yeah.
They don't have to be complex, super expensive, take a lot of time, because you can start small with this stuff. This might be like spending some time thinking, okay, how can I implement a process that's going to help me go from lead to all the way through to like handover? So what can I do in terms of like, what is a proposal tool that I can use that puts my contract in and I can get it signed online? Like simple, not necessarily easy, but a simple kind of implementation of a tool like that. And then I'm going to template out this is what I'm going to say in my welcome email to a client. Once I've called them, I'm going to confirm all of this stuff. This is going to be my templated email. And then this is going to be all of the things and questions I ask in the handover meeting. And this is going to be printed out and I'm going to have that there and I'm going to go through each of those things. And then I'm going to have a password vault. And I'm going to have a time tracking tool.
Well, I do have those things. Don't be mean now. Like, I do have those things. Thank you.
Yeah. And so it doesn't mean that every single thing has to have an SOP in your business or that you have to like make this huge complex system of all of your systems and processes all documented down to like the last dot. It's about, okay, what are my biggest manual processes that I do in my business and what is a tool that I can implement to get that sorted so that I'm not doing that manually?
Yeah.
What can I put in place that is going to make the biggest impact on streamlining my business more?
So you might be putting this off because you've got a similar personality style to me, or you might be putting some of these things off because you have, for the last couple of years, you've been so focused on your outgoings and keeping things kind of like affordable and making sure that you actually got money for you to spend at the end of the week, that you are reluctant to upgrade the tool, like going to the paid version for that tool that you're using, that you use all the time. And you know by upgrading that tool, it is going to save you time and it's going to save you money in the long run. But you've just got into this habit of holding on.
Bootstrapping everything. Yeah. Like that's fine when you first start out, but we're talking about scaling here. There's no more bootstrapping everything. There are some paid tools and things that are going to be an investment for you. But like Sam says, like it is going to save you time and money in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. How many times do we see that kind of like people posting comments, virtual assistants that have been in the business for a wee while and they're looking for a unicorn tool? This tool that is going to do this, that, bells and whistles. It's going to sing and it's going to dance at you and it's going to like throw glitter through the screen. It's going to make you feel awesome. It is the answer to all your problems. But you want it to be affordable or you want it to be free still. Like, dude.
The amount of posts that I see, oh, I'm looking for an all-in-one tool that does this, this, and this that's free. I'm like, oh, what do you mean free? No, you can't. You can't have that tool. It's not free. Why the heck are you not paying or wanting to pay for a tool that's going to do something? Now, I actually have a problem with all-in-one tools because they only go so far and they kind of do a good job at all the different areas that it's trying to like cover for you. But in my business, I still use Harvest as a time tracking and invoicing tool because it's the best on the market and it's not trying to be everything.
Yeah.
And why we haven't gone to an all-in-one tool. That aside, you're going to have to pay for some tools.
You're going to have to pay. Not straight off. Like if you're just starting out, we go back to our original advice that you do start off with the free tool. But if you're at this point, you're fully booked, you've got a steady stream of leads coming and you're having to turn down work, you are ready to scale, then you need to start putting some money back into the business.
Yep.
There's no shying away from it anymore.
Agreed.
Okay.
Some simple systems, processes, automation to streamline your business, fill in some of those manual processes that you've been doing, manual things that you do, some gaps that you have, so that when you scale and you get more leads coming in, because you're going to spend more time focused on bringing those leads in, because other people, whether that's client-facing or not client-facing, are going to be doing work for you, so you're more freed up. You do not want to be spending your time doing those manual things like more and more times, because that's going to be a waste of that glorious time that you have been gifted.
Yeah.
From scaling.
All right. Got two more. Thanks for staying with us. Number 7, the 7th thing that was going to stop you from scaling is your money blocks and your money ceiling. Now, we had Linda Moore, the Money Mentalist, on a previous episode. If you haven't already listened to that episode, after this one, you need to go listen to that one.
Yes. Yep. If your money ceiling, after you've listened to that, you will realize that where your money ceiling is, we actually go through the exercise of figuring that out with you on that episode. And then I love Linda's advice on here that if your money ceiling has got to a point where you are right now, so you haven't broken through that and it's holding you back, then you absolutely need to go and work on what are your money blocks, because your money blocks are absolutely going to hold you back. No matter how much time and effort you put into scaling, you will not make more money because of those money blocks, that ceiling that you have. You will sabotage things, we promise you, that will keep you at that same level. Now, if your ceiling is much higher than where your current income is right now, great. You can now go full steam ahead on doing the number 6, which is systems, processes, automation, and getting everything ready for that scaling that you're going to do, because you absolutely have the ability to take your business further because you've got that higher money ceiling. You don't have those money blocks that are holding you back. Yes, still work on some money blocks because that ceiling might get reached and you still need to go higher. Absolutely. You're going to have some blocks that are going to stop you from getting through that. But your focus is to work on those systems and processes so that you are ready and prepared to scale.
Yeah. Don't assume this is woo-woo stuff. This is not woo-woo stuff at all. Your money blocks. Your money blocks are left over from how your parents talked about money when you were a kid, how you saw them spend or save or hoard or whatever it is that their attitudes towards money were. The stuff that's not necessarily your fault. You've just grown up with these money stories. Do the work. Delve deep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, the last one on our list is the overwhelming feeling of scaling is just too big, too hard, not knowing what to focus on first.
Yeah, often that overwhelm comes from just like not actually knowing what the steps are.
Yeah.
What are the steps that you need to take to actually scale? It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be complex. There are some simple steps to take to get yourself prepared for scaling and then to scale. And we know that this is a big unknown area for many of you who have never been in this situation before, right? You've come from employee working a 9 to 5, you've come into your own business, started off just as a freelancer, and now you're like, actually, I want to scale, but I don't know what that looks like. We didn't see that in our corporate roles because they're already massive, big organizations, and you don't scale like you do as a corporate. You're in a small business wanting to move into becoming a medium business, scaling your business up. You haven't seen that necessarily in your 9 to 5. Or if you have worked in a small to medium business, you may not have seen it done very well. So you kind of need to unlearn what you learned in corporate and in your other roles. And now you're stepping into this unknown. How do you actually scale sustainably? What are your options? We talk about the freelancer pathway to scaling and the agency pathway to scaling. 2 very different pathways, 2 very different steps that you need to take. So to take away all of this overwhelm of not knowing what the steps are, we have created a pre-scaling checklist. It is coming out very, very soon as a free download. So by the time you're listening to this, it may already be available. So go and check out the website, or it may already be in a link down below. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sam and Joe VA Show. If you'd like to find out more, head to the VA Foundry website to check out the Mastermind and the amazing resources, courses, and coaching.
You can find us at thevafoundry.com.